This issue of high unemployment rate in Canada is turning into something else. Most persons here have been searching for jobs for many months now and yet no success. I'm not even talking about getting professional jobs. Even getting menial jobs here take the grace of God, and sometimes they don't pay well. You'll be seeing $13 per hour, $14 per hour. Like, seriously? With this high cost of living? And on top of it, you're a family person. I know this is not common to Canada alone, it's everywhere. I totally understand that. But I'm just talking about Canada because this is where I reside. You all would agree with me that there are some immigration routes that require you to get a job offer from outside of Canada. So the question now is, if those inside of Canada are still struggling to get jobs, so how will those outside of Canada then get these jobs? Please don't get me wrong, we still have so many persons here that have good jobs. But the purpose of this video is to create an awareness that there are now many fake jobs out there because of the high unemployment rate. So many persons have been scammed because yes, they are desperate for jobs. And then recently a friend of mine fell victim, and I'll be sharing that experience with you guys. I would also be displaying the name of that company on the screen for you all to see. So if you are applying for jobs and you come across this company, either you report them or you don't have anything to do with this company. I would also be sharing some tips on how you can recognize fake job offers. So if this sounds like what you love, kindly watch this video to the end. Don't forget to like, comment and share this video. If you are new to this channel, please do me well to subscribe, and if you're a returning subscriber, I always do appreciate you. This friend of mine gave me the permission to share her story. So if you are watching this video and you're in Canada or outside of Canada and you are searching for a job, please, I would love you to watch this video to the end because there is always something to learn. In fact, we learn from other people's mistakes. So let's call this lady Mrs. B. And then while sharing her story, I will be pointing out the red flags. So this Mrs. B has been in Canada and she has been searching for jobs, and she has also been receiving all these unfortunately kind of emails. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. Until on this day, this particular mail entered and she was excited. She was happy that, at last I could get a job. But reading through the mail, it wasn't straightforward. Like, we are giving you this job offer, if you stay for 1 month, we'll give you this job offer. Like, it was vague. How do you know that something is vague? You will know by reading and reading and reading, and yet you are still getting confused. So that was how the mail was. So that is a red flag. When you are sent an email and it's not straightforward, it is a red flag. It could be scammers at work. So at the end of the mail, they were like, if you are ready to work with us, kindly reply us and tell us when you would likely want to resume. So she wanted to clarify herself. She wanted to know if she and the employer, I'm going to call the person employer now, if they were on the same page. So she decided to reply the email, was like, how do you mean? Are you saying when I work for 1 month, I will be made permanent? No, she wanted to know if she was thinking what they were thinking, you get. So the person replied the following day. I was like, that yes, when you work for a month, you'll be permanent, blah 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 blah. And when she was replying the mail again, this Mrs. B, she said she would love to resume 2 weeks from the day she received that mail. You get. But when this person responded, she was like, okay, well, we'll be glad to have you in our team, something like that. And do you know what? Kindly add me on Telegram so we can take it from there, take it up from there. So that's also another red flag, because why will you say you should go to Telegram. What stops you from continuing with the email and the rest? So that was another red flag. And my friend went ahead to add this lady. I don't know if it's a lady now. She added her on Telegram and they started chatting. So the first thing the person asked was, drop your bank details so that we can be paying you there, which wasn't bad. My friend dropped the bank details. So what she noticed was that the person was now getting very personal. Give me your transit bank transit number, blah blah blah. Show me, send me your SIN because we really need to know more about you. You know, when you are desperate for a job, you want to do anything. So this my friend submitted everything. So they kept on chatting and chatting and chatting. So that was another red flag. Then at some point, the person there asked, can you receive money in your bank account? Another red flag. In fact, there are so many red flags. I don't even. I may lose count in case I don't remember to tell you some. And the person was like, why? He said, okay, never mind. We'll be transferring some money to you that you would, something like depositing to e-wallet, something like that. So after like 2 minutes, the person chatted my friend, have you received the money? She said no. Again, have you received the money? The person said, my friend said no. She said, okay, do you know what? Let's do it like this. Is your bank far from you? She said, not that far. Okay, you will go to the bank and go and request so amount of money. So she thought it was part of the job, but I was like, why? I was almost getting the whole thing because the person was carrying me along. I was like, why would somebody be asking you all those things? But what do I know? If it has not happened to you, you wouldn't really know how to, address those things. So the interviewer or the employer was like, you know what, go to your bank and request for money. They may want to ask you some questions, tell them the money is personal. That was also another red flag because why would you say the money is personal if you are telling the person to request the money for the purpose of the job? You get. So truly, Mrs. B went to the bank, went to request the money. The whoever did this transaction, they never asked what she was using the money to do, and then she requested the money, and they told her to take it to Canada Post, buy so many things. Honestly, I don't know those technologies. At the end of the day, this Mrs. B was doing what they asked her to do. So that was it, and Mrs. B was like, I don't have transport fare to come home. The person said, take from that money you requested. And when we start paying you, we will reimburse you. You get? That was how the whole thing went. I'm just summarizing it. Oh. So at the end of the day, we are trying to, know how far. So I think Mrs. B there asked, okay, this money I'm depositing into this wallet, what's it meant for? They say yes, it's meant for customers so that when customers make complaints, she will not use her personal money, rather she will use the money from this wallet, blah 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 blah. The wallets make it juicy. At the end of the day, so that was how that day went. The following day, Mrs. B was then trying to withdraw money from her account. Lo and behold, her bank account was closed, and that day was on a Friday. So she couldn't really place it, like, what could have happened? And Mrs. B told me, I said, the only thing I can think of is that new job you got. I said, something must have gone wrong somewhere. And because this Mrs. B was still naive, she chatted them up and was like, and something just happened now. She can't access her bank account. So the person was like, what did they say is wrong? Then she was like, they said, um, the person she did the last transaction for should do something, but it was related to them. And the last thing the scammer, I don't know why I'm even saying interviewer or employer, the scammer, the last thing the scammer typed was, and we'll contact our financial department. And that was it. That was how the person just ended the chat. So this Mrs. B tried to call her on Telegram. The number cannot be reached. Oh, I skipped the part where she said, okay, somebody will talk to you over the phone for some questions, and please try to reply nicely. I skipped that part. That was at the initial stage of the chatting on the Telegram. And yeah, the person actually called, and she answered. So after a while, she chatted Mrs. B back, and did the person still call you? How did you find the interview? But my mind is telling me that it's the same person, the same person that is claiming she's a lady and in chatting. I'm still sure that it's the same person that called. Do you understand? You know, these scammers, they are very smart. So when this whole thing happened, Mrs. B tried to reach this woman. No, no way, no response. We then went to the site because at this point it was no longer something that only she could do. So we went to the job site. That was when we realized that there was no contact details. There was no review. They don't even exist. There's no job. Nothing. They just built the website like, okay, Mrs. B tried calling that number that interviewed her, that she, not in service. Like, that number does not exist. I don't know how they created that number, but the number was showing Ontario. The company shows it's in Ontario, but when we mapped it, I don't think that company exists. So Mrs. B called the bank, and the bank was like, if this company told you to request money, then why are they, I don't know, bankers too, they have their own technologies. That first of all, they told Mrs. B to screenshot the charts as evidence, because it was as if the company told Mrs. B to request money from another person, and the person they requested the money, the person she requested the money from, then reported to the bank, something like that. And because of that, the bank blocked Mrs. B's account. I think that was what happened. So the customer service person that attended to Mrs. B was like, two things must have happened. Either the company told Mrs. B to request money from somebody's account, and the person then reported this Mrs. B's account, or otherwise. The person never said the otherwise. The person just said otherwise. So how do we then rectify the whole thing? That was now the question. Because it was then obvious that Mrs. B was scammed. So the bank was like, they are going to carry out the investigation, and it's going to take about 10 days. So if they see that it was a mix-up, they would release the account. But if not, they would close the account and create another account for Mrs. B, and then move her money into the new account. So let's say this whole thing happened on Friday. On Saturday, Mrs. B received an email from Amazon, like an attempt to debit her, like as if somebody wanted to use her account to pay for something on Amazon. But because the bank had blocked her account, the transaction wasn't successful. So in a way, the bank blocking the account was kind of good to an extent, because if the account wasn't blocked, the scammer had already had access to the account by collecting some details. So she Mrs. B got a mail that transaction not successful, like to buy something online. So the scammers were really at work at this time. So immediately Mrs. B reported this email to the bank. So she was just carrying the bank along so that at least when they are carrying out the investigation, they will know that she didn't scam somebody, rather she was scammed. We didn't later know how these scammers were able to get through to the sibling of this Mrs. B. Somehow, the sibling of this Mrs. B received an email, from, the whole thing was just, but somehow when they get to you, they can get the details of people around you. So Mrs. B was wondering that how can my sister elsewhere now be receiving this kind of mail? Mrs. B also reported the whole thing to the bank. At this time, she couldn't have access to her account. And something was telling her that if they open that account, all her money will go. And even subsequent money will go. So the best thing is for them to just change the account and move the money. So that whatever transaction they must have done on ground, like, it won't be successful. So as at the time of making this video, the account is still blocked, hoping that yes, um, it will be rectified and it will favor Mrs. B. Um, so it's so sad that somebody is looking for a job and you are still scamming this person. If you are the one doing it and you are watching this video, you feel it is right to scam people, the wrath of God will be on you. If you are into that kind of fraudulent thing, the wrath of God will be on you. Because it was really a sad situation. Like everything, she gave out all her details. And now the scammer is at work. No response, you can't even track them, you can't do it. The only evidence this Mrs. B has now is the chats. At least when they say, oh, let's see your chat, that's the only thing the person can just present. So she quickly went ahead to like screenshot all the chats in case they will need them. So after that sad experience, I went ahead to do more research on how to recognize fake job offers, and I was able to write down some points which I'll be reading out to you. But please, if you are watching this video and you have your jobs already, good for you, congrats. But if you still have friends or family members that are searching for jobs, kindly share this video with them so they don't fall victim. As I speak, Mrs. B is still depressed, she is devastated, she is feeling cheated, she is feeling unsafe because she gave out all her details. But I know that she will be alright. God will restore all that she lost, yeah, and God will still give her her dream job. So the first one is when the job is too good to be true. So be cautious if the salary and benefits seem excessively high for the job requirements. I missed out this part when I was narrating the story. Honestly, what they said they would be paying her per hour was really, really attractive. She was like, God, you finally came through for me. You know that kind of feeling excited. I know at some point she must have made some plans like, okay, I will get this, I will get that. You understand? So when the salary seems too juicy, then you should watch out. It could be that you are going to be scammed. So promises of easy money or quick employment with little effort are red flags. The next one is poor communication. Professional job postings are usually well written. I think I mentioned that when I was narrating the story. So watch out for job ads with poor grammar, spelling mistakes, or vague descriptions. You see that vague descriptions was what she first of all observed. The thing was not straightforward. The job duties, everything was not straightforward, but she still decided to give it a try. So the next point here is be skeptical of employers who use free email services like Gmail or Yahoo instead of a corporate domain. Then also the request for personal information or money. Although this particular company, they were using domain, if I'm not mistaken, but then also watch out for companies that will just be using their personal email or Yahoo mail to chat you. Most of them are scammers. Another one is legitimate employers will not ask for sensitive personal information like SIN, which this scammer did. The person really asked for her personal um, information. They never pay for a job application. That was what happened here. Even though she didn't use her personal money, the scammer made sure that she requested money from somebody else. Honestly, I can't really understand that part, how they did it. Never pay for a job application or training or equipment. Authentic employers cover the cost themselves. So when you apply for a job and they are now telling you we will train you but you will pay so amount of money, or you will need to send some money down so we can buy equipment, no, it's a red flag. The next point here is lack of company information. Honestly, I'll be leaving the link of that company in the description box. If you go through that link, you will see that they don't really have any company information. They just design the website. You can't see phone number. You won't even see email. Honestly, I don't really know how it escaped this person. Sometimes when you are looking for things, you will not have the patience to even dot your I's and cross your T's. It was after the whole thing we checked the site. It was really porous. So when there's lack of company information or there's no contact information, don't forget about it. They are scammers. A legitimate company will have a professional website and verifiable contact details. If you can't find this information about the company online, then it is a major warning sign. The other thing you should look out for is urgent hiring and pressure tactics. This thing really worked for Mrs. B. They were pressurizing her. Even when she said she will resume work 2 weeks time, they were telling her, okay, go to the bank, is your bank close to you? So when you see or when you experience all these things, like someone pressurizing you, even when you are trying to take your time, they are pushing you, it could be a red flag. So I wrote here, scammers often create a sense of urgency to pressure you into making quick decisions without thorough consideration. So take your time to verify the job. Another point I have here is unsolicited job offers. This one, I don't really know how to explain it. Sometimes you will just receive a job offer mail from a company you didn't apply to. I know most persons will have given testimony that I got a job offer from somewhere I did not apply to. Yeah, some of them may be good, but in most cases they could be scammers. So be wary of job offers you receive out of the blue, especially if you haven't applied for the position. Legitimate job offers usually come after an application process and interview. That is very true. So now let's go to the interview process. Fake job postings might skip the interview process or conduct interviews through unprofessional platforms. This was exactly what happened to Mrs. B. They left email and they started doing Telegram level. Most times, you see, chatting on Telegram, I don't even enjoy it because when I was in Nigeria, I was even scammed through Telegram. So Telegram is not my own thing. I'm not saying there are not some things you can do with Telegram, but I've had that experience about scammers making use of Telegram to scam people, and you won't be able to trace them. So when they skip interview stage and they are trying to just, they just want to push you, then it is a major red flag. Authentic companies usually have a structured interview process, often involving multiple stages. So the another point I have here is job boards and reviews. So this point is also, I would build on it in another video. how to know fake jobs, how to detect fake jobs. So use reputable job boards and check for reviews of the employer on sites like Glassdoor. It was much later I started, knowing these things. So when I see any job now, I will just go and check for the review. If you check this, what's the name of this scammer company again, Northern Cardinal, whatever, they don't have any review. So if you go and verify them and they don't have review, or they have reviews but poor reviews, then don't even go for the job. So verify job postings through official channels like the company's career page, um, Better Business Bureau, that's BBB. Check if the company is listed and has reviews. Then you can also report, or yeah, you can also report the company to Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. I think I've not done this yet. I'll probably do it for my friend. Report and check for no scams. They can also check LinkedIn. One thing about LinkedIn is we still have many fake jobs there. So I really don't know. But you can also check LinkedIn and go to their profile, verify the company's presence and the legitimacy. But that one is a weak point. But that does not mean we don't still have authentic jobs on LinkedIn. So this is the summary of what I could get out on how to recognize fake job offers. So please, let's be careful. I know the pressure is high. When you don't have job, you are thinking of how to take care of your family. But even while you are still job hunting, let's always take a deep breath when we receive all these job offer mails, so that we can know the one that is right and the one that is wrong. And then we also need to be prayerful so that God will guide our steps. Yeah. I believe this video has been helpful, and I hope you learned one or two things from this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video. See you all in my next one. Bye.